This was from a tournament finals, Masters tournament, but my opponent is a 5.6k Zerg player. God, no, I don't. Why does it always default on this? It changes it every time I close Starcraft and bring it back up. It goes back to defaulting to the WCS overlay. But yeah, 5.6k Zerg player. We're on Odyssey. And ZVT, well, we're going to look at my perspective. The idea here, this is supposed to be educational because this is a game. I'm gonna post the game as well, the VOD of the game, but I barely talk because this is about the closest, this is the most concentration or anything like that. But I go for the bio and TVZ. I've been messing around with some mech styles lately. I've been going with like the Innovation Banshees and like Hellion Banshee, but I decided I want to go back to the classics, the 211. I'm messing around with my fucking camera locations there. It looks a lot worse in the replay, okay? But I decide I want to go with the 211. I'm actually going to take away the bars at the top, so that way you can't quite tell how much supply he has, and I'll bring him up at certain times because I wanted to make it seem like you're seeing what I'm seeing. But with the 211, you have a few objectives. So early on, you want to find out, is he going to do an early pool? Is he going to try to do any sort of big all-in, like a Baneling Nest or a Roach Warren? And if no, then you want to get as much done with your first medevacs as possible without losing them. I send the SCV Scout out at this time because it's become a little bit more popular, and one of the weaknesses when you're on this side of the map, is if you want to build a reactor and you preemptively put your barracks here, and have this open space for the reactor, then you are more vulnerable to Zergling rushes. So I send my SCV out about 1 or 2 supply earlier. I usually send it after the barracks finishes, but I send the SCV out on about 17 supply at this timing on this side of the map, because if he shows up with Zerglings a little bit earlier, then I could lose an add-on, or he could get Zerglings in because my barracks is in a different position. On this side of the map, even if I wanted to build a reactor immediately, I already have the hard wall, so scouting isn't as important quite as early. So there's a little bit of RNG in StarCraft.
SCV ready.
Alright. So what I am looking for with the first SCV, are you going hatch first? Are you making any Zerglings? That could potentially try to either evade the Reaper or cancel my production, but I see Zerglings on the way, and I'm kind of surprised. Those are pretty early. He went for like a 14 pool or something like that. So I'm getting this scout. Another thing is, even if you scout a little bit later, you get the scout, you can see his hatchery or lack of hatchery by the time you choose to expand on the low ground. The idea is I'm getting this information before I decide to expand on the low ground, so I don't have to commit to expanding there. So I see the Zerglings on the way. You got to adapt to a wall. And that's a little bit of thinking like, well, if the Zerglings are already coming across, then I might as well use the command center as part of the wall. It's a little bit vulnerable. I go in, and now I'm scouting for gas. It's very important to tell, are there speedlings? And now I see on the minimap right now, I don't even need to go to the base, I do, but no gas. This is just slowlings. This is just pressure. If I build a wall, I hold it, but I want to be as efficient as possible. And this is actually a lot of surface area he gets on. Yeah, that's hilarious that happens. But I'm thinking right now that I will kill these Zerglings just in time and not lose the CC. And I'm really committing to that. But yeah, that is a wall. Now, I slipped a little here. This is me panicking a little bit, because I wasn't sure. I was pretty sure he wasn't going to get through, but I wasn't 100%. I didn't start my reactor. I didn't start a factory. I didn't start a second gas. And I was building SCVs, which is good. I built my second depot as part of the wall, obviously. But I'm late on the second gas, I'm late on the factory, and that's just down to feeling pressure here. Yeah, and now as soon as it clears up, it's like, oh shit, we gotta do all this. And then realizing the reactor is not in an ideal spot. And then realizing that's not a wall, because I can never make a wall how I want to. Also customary. But at this point, I know he doesn't have speed on the way. It's very unlikely he has a bunch of roaches or anything. The Reaper can go across the map. Even though it's not a wall, I don't really care, because he's not going to make more lings. You don't do that. If he did that, that would be the smartest, dumbest thing he could do, is make, like, 12 more slowlings, because there's a 99% chance I have a wall. You can't rely on someone like me fucking it up. It's just not a high percentage play. So he's not making lings. I know that he's probably just going really high economy. So, denying creep is nice, and then I want to check for a third base, which is what I do next. And now this gives me a lot of information. The third base means this is full economy. He's not going to touch me. He's not going to have a baneling bust. He's not going to have any of that. So I need to get as much as I can together as quickly as possible and put on pressure, ideally before he has too many drones and units. He can get a lot of drones, but getting the units as well, if I hit quickly enough, I can still put on a lot of pressure and possibly kill units or some drones. But the objectives right now are continually scout, make sure there's not that random all-in. It's still a possibility. And then build up towards the 2-1-1. I see no second gas. I see speed on the way. I see speed on the way. So this is all the information I need. I go down to the second base. There's no more gas. It's just speed and one gas. There's no all-in. He has multiple queens. He's going for creep spread. He's got 3 bases. This means macro. This means he can't do anything to pressure me. As long as now I'm really trying to make sure everything's on point here. Don't get supply blocked. Work towards upgrades as well. But most importantly, I want to get these medevacs as close to him as possible, as quickly as possible, to keep him from getting 70 drones. Get him 70 drones, getting creep spread over half the map. Now, it's very important with the medevacs. You're not trying to kill drones. The objective is not to kill drones. You don't try to get in and kill drones. The objective is map control. With medevacs, what you're trying to do is make him respond to a certain thing you're doing. One, if you keep his creep spread at a certain level. That's the lowest priority, but also the easiest one. If you can do that, then maybe you can go in, try to get some units, and pull them out of position. Then, if you're in a good engagement and you're not going to lose your medevac, you can go for the drones. But the drones are... You're indirectly killing drones by having medevacs on the map. If you kill 5 drones but lose the medevac in the Marines, well, he can just remake those drones, and now you don't have a medevac in Marines, which could kill overlords, which could deny creep, which could pressure a 4th base. It's about building momentum, and losing the medevac to kill drones does not do that. So the main objective is map control with the first medevacs. So many... This is another... I'm saying this because I know where this game's going to go, obviously. It was me. But I think that's one of the big mistakes that lower-level players make. They put too much value in those first 2 medevacs. They don't have to get a lot done. They just have to be in the right place. They have to be standing at the edge of the creep or at the edge of these bases. You don't need to micro it a bunch. You don't need to be trying to kill drones. You just need them there just to put pressure on. We're talking like Diamond right now. But I see so many players, and once again, we're talking like Diamond, lower Masters. Like, I got a medevac. Whenever Beyond has these medevacs, he kills 40 lings, 7 queens, 20 drones, a hatchery, and 8 banelings. But Beyond's also making SCVs, getting his third base, getting his upgrades. Let's be honest, neither of us are. So... Yeah, I see a few lings. He's letting me know he's there, pretty much. He's scouting the wall. But I know he's not making a ton of lings. He's worried about this. He saw the medevac, so he's going to be ready. So, I hotkey my medevacs on too. I have half his APM, by the way. For better or for worse. Because I'm bad. But at this point, I think he knows this is coming. So I'm not really worried if I fly over the watchtower. I'm just going... I see... As soon as I see creep, that's where you drop. I see an overlord. It's going to see it anyways. You kill the overlord. See creep, that's where you drop. And this scan is a dual scan. Alright? The scan helps me clear creep, because I saw there's nothing at the edge. But it also is in a very convenient position that I can see where his units are in relation to my units. Like, is he coming in? Does he have a ton of Lings and Banes? Maybe I don't want to step too far. Does he only have really queens? Well, maybe I can get a little bit closer. But also importantly, notice how while I'm clearing this, I know for about 3 or 4 more seconds, I see for a split second there's not too many units. We have a few seconds. Go back at home, make sure all my shit's set up. Because there's going to be 3 or 4 seconds here where I don't need to be microing, and I can at least start something. Now, if I only see queens, I will kill queens. Okay, this is only... If there were 20 lings here, this could not happen. But if I see queens, I'm going to go for it. Because killing those queens, we were talking about map control. Killing queens and clearing creep are way better. I would take 5 queens and the start of his creep spread at the same time. I would take that over killing 20 drones. Okay. I would take that over killing 20 drones, so I'm very happy about that. Because I've completely... It's about momentum, remember. I killed 20 drones, he remakes 20 drones, he continues his creep spread, and I didn't really get much done. But 5 queens take time. He's... And his creep spread can't be remade if I kill his queens, right? So, thank you, Monicus. I get supply blocks at 70 here for a while. Because I got really excited about all the micro I was doing. I tunnel visioned. But yeah, now I'm at the edge of the creep, sniping tumors. And I've got 1-1 on the way. That's going to be a focus. A lot of Terran versus Zerg comes down to upgrade timings. So being on top of your 1-1 and your 2-2 can give you big windows to attack. I'm doing a little bit of fancy micro here. I probably don't need to be. But I know I saw his lings in the main, so I drop at the second base. Like, I saw I was dancing him around. Part of the reason the micro that first drop is so the second drop does damage. But now I know I've done pretty much everything I can, so I'm lifting. Notice the stress he's under. He's 56. He's more MMR than me, but that just because you're like Grandmasters doesn't mean you're not under stress. He's under he has 1,900 minerals. And do you know why? Not because he's bad, because I killed all his queens that were trying to inject his hatcheries, and his strategy is Ling Baneling. He can't spend his money because he doesn't have the larva. That's another reason why sniping those queens is such a big deal. I got that armory on time. I was pretty proud of that. And I can start the 2-2. And you can kind of tell at this point, I just don't have the unit count. I haven't added on my production. By the way, the time to add on your production is as you're getting your third. With a build like this, you want to be adding on, well, I mean, you want to do it a little quicker than I did. But you want to add on up to 5, maybe 6 barracks, depending on how good you are at spending your money. But I added that on before I got my third, because that's when it really starts kicking in. The fact you have, like, going on 50 SCVs, you have a couple mules, you're outstripping the 2 barracks production. So right as you're getting your third base, you don't quite have the income to spend all of that and get upgrades, but when you drop your third down and start mining from it, you do. So by the time you're taking your third, you want those 5 racks reactored or tech lab factory, if he's going for roaches or hydras. I go for Widow Mines. Now, here's the thing. I have a problem with this. He's going to go for Hydroling Bane. I have a problem with this, though. I'll see a unit composition, like with Hydras, that will come up, that you should use siege tanks. They're better, objectively. But then I just keep going Widow Mines because Widow Mines. And the Widow Mines do well for me, but, like, I just have a mental block sometimes where I just don't make tanks, even though tanks are the best strategy. I'm like, well, I've been going Widow Mines. We're going to keep doing it. Like, but I'm keeping on that. Look at where my medevacs are right now. That medevac at the edge of the creep. Scan the other medevac at the other edge of the creep. I'm making sure the creep cannot spread so I can keep control of the game. It's about map control. If I lose control, then that's when I can't move around the map. That's when he starts attacking me with 200 supply that I can't really counter because he can see everywhere I'm going. But yeah, notice where the medevacs are on each edge. That's to keep control of the map. It's very easy to let the swarm take over. I'm dropping down supply. It's always better to drop down supply than have to start a depot and wait for it to finish. Especially at this time in the game, dropping supply is not... If you're supply blocked, you shouldn't think twice about dropping down a supply depot. It's very important to get that momentum at this part of the game. But yeah, look at the mini-map right now. Look where my units are. I'm trying to keep control of this map. I'm looking for a 4th base. I see a gold base on the way. But whenever he doesn't have vision, I try to do damage. Wherever he does, I try to contain him. We're holding him back right now. He's holding him back. All right. And now, that was a good question. Multitasking tips. So usually my setup is my main army is on my 1 hotkey. I usually have a drop, like an alternative. I have a drop or harass on 2. But if I have more than 1 drop at once, I'm just using, I'm flipping around on the minimap with my my mouse. I use my mouse on the minimap to do a lot of this drop micro, and I just go with the flow. The hotkeys sometimes don't allow you to have the freedom that just going wherever you need to go on the minimap does. So getting okay at that, I think, is pretty important. That's most of the way Beyond does it. Beyond hotkeys some of his medevacs as well. I can't pretend to know exactly how Beyond plays. Even Beyond might not know because he's at such a high level. It's just how he does. But I'm just using the minimap to move around. And I know, like, it's just been trained over thousands of games, right? You can't stare. If you're looking at a drop for 5 seconds, you've been looking at a drop for too long. Like, time's up. That's all you're going to get done. So I see a bunch of Banes here. And not the greatest splits. Not the greatest splits at all. But I can get the base at least. So that's nice. And now I see the Hydras. This is the first time I see the Hydras, by the way. So now I know we're dealing with Hydraling Bane. But I know I just sniped a 4th base. He doesn't have much creep spread, so I can keep the pressure on. I'm not going to get overwhelmed, because if he doesn't have a 4th, he doesn't have the production to overwhelm me. I just got to bring everything together. I just finished my 2-2, by the way. I don't know how long it is till I start 3-3. But I got to hold off 1 attack, and then I can get aggressive again. But I do realize I traded some army out to get that base. So right now, just sit back, build a bigger army, because a 3-base Terran, even against Hydraling Bane, is still going to be more cost-effective than a 3-base Zerg. Especially, yeah, 3-3 upgrades right off the bat. That's so important. I'm thinking right now I need to max out and ideally have upgrade timing so I can kill him before he just has Hive and 3-3 and all the stuff he wants. That's why I still have 1 drop on the map. I noticed he wasn't splitting his units is another thing, so I'm trying to always have 1 drop on the map. Whenever a drop comes up, he eventually splits units off, but it always seems to do at least a little bit. A little bit of friendly fire there, but also unfriendly fire. And also, here's the way I split and select units like Widowmines or Medevac. I use Control-Click. Control-Click allows you to select all units of a certain type. So a lot of the time in these fights, you'll see my Marines run behind the Marauders, or the Widowmines burrow while nothing else moves. I'm using Control, or the Medevac's boosting. I Control-Click that type of unit and give it the action that it needs to have, whether it be burrowing or stimming or boosting, stuff like that. Yeah, once again, like, I saw he committed his army to the front, so I gotta drop in. I'm not sure what the worker count. If I had to get, I don't know the exact number. Thank you, Royal Prospecting, for $18.95. Suspiciously similar to the amount of subs we have and the bits. Thanks for making it rain. No, you don't need to double-click. You just need to Control-Click. Control-Click. Double-click is way too clunky. Don't use double-click. Control-Click is way better. But yeah, control click. I actually don't have a keyboard on the side. But thank you, Lord Draymond, for bringing us to 1896. But what was I talking about here? Okay, I was trying to gauge the situation in the game. This is when, as a Terran player who's getting towards a max out, you have to decide, is my best play to just attack, or do I start trying to do a lot of drops? And I'm gauging right now, like I just killed some drones, I've kept pressure on his fourth. I think if I know me, I scan for the other fourth base in a moment, or send a drop in the next 30 seconds. Because right now I'm worried about a different fourth base, because I'm going to attack the other one. Thank you, Royal Prospecting. Does anybody want to up the ante? Give him some W's and dirty esports money in the chat. But I would say he has 65 drones right now. 63, okay. But that was my gauge of it, based on how this game has gone so far. So in-game, I would have gauged it pretty similar. But yeah, I know he doesn't have that many. I've been killing drones, but he still has an okay economy. Like, he has enough to put units on the field, but not overwhelm me. I see these Hydras, I'm like, I can fight this. Those are just Hydras. But Hydras with the plus 10 HP are actually pretty good, so... Yeah, they're a little tankier, and he has plus 2 Carapace. I didn't check his upgrades, but plus 2 Carapace makes those Hydras kind of hard to kill. That was a bit of a misjudge there. Now I'm facing a problem that you can have as Terran. Like, I have the supply, I have good upgrades. What I don't have right now is that many medevacs. So, because I lost so many medevacs, even though I have this supply, it's kind of hard to end the game. Because Banelings will one-shot everything. The Widow Mines are helpful, but without medevacs and without units with HP, it's difficult to actually push. Because the Hydras just keep sniping off units. Yeah, this is where tanks would be useful. Like I said, mental block. But the Widow Mines are doing work for me, but the Widow Mines die. If I had tanks to push, I wouldn't need medevacs as bad. That's a trade-off there. Is if you go Widow Mines, you're very mobile, but you need medevacs to help push. If you go tanks, you don't need nearly as many medevacs. So right now I know 3-3 is finishing. I know 3-3 is finishing. And I'm trying to look for a timing to attack. Like, I lifted my main base. I've actually been insanely good at spending my money this game. I'm pretty proud of myself. And I'm scouting for a fourth base there as well. But I don't think I've been over 1,000. It might change in this massive fight here. But I don't think I've been over 1,000, or the gas doesn't matter that much, over 1,000 minerals this entire game. So that's really good for me. That's part of the part. If I'm commentating during the game, that definitely would not have been true. But yeah, sending a drop out. Right now I'm trying to play kind of whack-a-mole. I don't want to pick a fight until I have a bunch of medevacs and units at full HP. I think you see the Marines. You see the Marines move behind there? That's the control click, by the way. That's the control click. It's a little bit clunky. I don't have great micro, but that's the easy man's way to move the Marines behind the Marauders there. To try to bait the Banelings into hitting Marauders, which obviously they aren't so great at. So. Oh yeah, I send a drop out. It's not hotkeyed. I just sent the drop out with my mouse. I found an opportunity to kill some more drones. But right now, I'm really trying to put the pressure on before he gets Hive Tech. Like, I really don't want him to get Ultras, and I don't want him to get 3-3. I will fail, but I do a good job of keeping his economy down. At the very... That was not a great... So, what that was I was like, I'm going to send out a drop. And then I realized I sent it into Hydras, and I'm like, well, I'm going to drop on the Banelings. And then I realized I'm an idiot. So, a lot of things went wrong there. I just traded a lot of army supply for bases. I killed his bases. I killed both of his potential fourth bases. And a lot of drones, too. I think I bring him... I would say he's at, like, 50 drones now? 60. Okay. He has drones. I don't think I actually killed drones at the gold. But in doing that, I just gave him space, because now I don't have much of an army that can push. So that means, now if he didn't have Ultralisk on the way during this, I would have rebuilt and pushed out again and probably won the game. But, as you can see in the production tab, he's going to have Ultras. Like, I see Hydraling Bane, I'm on 4 bases, he's on 3. I can push and win, as long as he doesn't have Hive Tech. Unfortunately, Hive Tech. And I see the bases coming up. I'm trying to keep track of where the bases are. And I'm like, okay, time to win. Here we go. This is my winning push. At least is how I feel. I have in the back of my mind Hive Tech, but... And then I see the Ultras, I'm like... And I click on them. Did you see the split second of hesitation on the stutter step? That's because I clicked on them to see if they had the extra armor. And I see they did, and then I realized... This is not in the bag. I don't... And now I'm like, oh, I'm scrambling, I'm rallying out, my units are stimmed to death almost. But, I mean, I still have army supply, so you gotta get your shit together at this point. Make sure the Ultras don't connect, make sure the Banelings don't connect, and retreat. Because I still have +3. +3 allows you to actually damage Ultras. I mean, you can't man fight them. You can't go head to head. You can't brush up against them and have a personal conversation. But if you do have that +3 upgrade, and they only have +2 armor, you can still kill them. They're not unkillable. If they have +3 Carapace, it gets very... Notice how he's going for it. It's very important because it makes it almost impossible to kill with just Bio. Even if you have a ton of Marauders, that's a lot of dead SCVs. But now I'm hurting for the Medivacs, and I'm hurting for the gas, actually. But I still think at this point, my army is strong enough to fight him, as long as I take a good fight off a creep. So now it kind of just comes down to making sure... This is why I keep sending drops out, because one thing Ultras aren't good at is killing Medivacs. Ultras not so great at killing Medivacs. So if I keep sending these drops out and hurting his economy, if these start getting shut down, like if Corruptors showed up, I would feel pretty dead. Like if he had 7 or 8 Corruptors or something, not even Broodlords, just Corruptors, I would be like, well, I guess I misjudged this one. But until I see any Spire Tech, I still feel in a pretty good spot. Yeah, I mean, like, I probably should be going Ghost, but I still have the momentum. He still can't just A-move attack, because there's always a drop, there's always units. He doesn't have the economy, like, we're not in the end game now. We're not in, like, 20 Ghosts versus 10 Ultras and Broodlords, right? We're not there. So this is still a bio game. It'd be good to have some Liberators. Ghosts are good, but, like, it's so hard to... I mean, we're both playing... He's at 350. My average Terran APM is around 180. So we're at about 40 plus APM. And I'm at 350 right now during this fight. I ramp it up when I can. But we're already at like 20 to 30% more than most even like higher level games for me. So it's just I'm simply not fast enough. So is the situation. But I give up a base in favor of getting on top of this army. I pull the SCVs to draw Ultras away as well. And then I'm able to corner it. So at this point, I've dealt with the final boss. But this game came down to map control. From the very start, when I put on my pressure with the first... From the defense to the pressure with the first Medivacs, killing the queens, I was on top of the creep. I was on top of additional bases. I was on top of drones. I wasn't able to get any critical damage. But I kept map control because I wasn't losing extraneous Medivacs, at least early. And I was able to get my upgrades. If you can keep control of... Well, if you have the upgrades and you keep the creep down and you keep the base count down and the drone count down, then eventually you can win. You just do all those things, good to go. It sounds more complicated than it is. It's a pretty simple concept, but obviously a lot of actions went into making it happen. But I was pretty happy with it because, I mean, whenever I play, or whenever a lot of players play, like, they have an idea of what they want to do. But I was able to send the drops out at the right time, or at least the semi-right time. Was able to take the fights without losing horribly, so I was pretty happy with it. And there you go. But yeah, that game was 100% about map control and momentum, and that's really what TVZ is about, but there are different styles. Like, Medevac, Marauder, Marine, Mine isn't about maxing out with the strongest army, or taking the best fight. It's about being in the right place at the right time. And the best way to get into these right places at the right times, what am I trying to say here? I just zoned out. The best way to get into the right places at the right times is to clear out the creep and take map control. That allows you, when you actually need to do damage, to get into position to do damage. So yeah, it worked out. Yeah, and he wasn't a pushover. 5,600. I'm not saying he's a pro player. 5,600 is like rank 150 GM or so. But especially for me playing Terran, I was pretty happy with it. And I thought it was a pretty good game to talk about, because I know a lot of people struggle versus Zerg, especially as Terran. So, alright. Hopefully that was helpful in some fashion or another. I'm going to post the game itself and this to YouTube. It'd be great if I could do it and, like, edit it and, like, weave it in it, but no. I'm just going to have two different. So. All right.